All right. Welcome to all. We are here for the September 25, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Ethics. And let me just pull up the agenda. So the first thing we're going to do is call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. We have Kitty Sang, Amy Jackson Ayala, Pat Tony, and Catherine Williams that are here. That's 4 out of 7. So we have a quorum for this meeting. The next item on the agenda is a roll call. So let's just, everyone just say your name for the record so we know we actually do have a quorum.
Kitty Sang,
Pat Tony.
Catherine Williams.
Amy Jackson Ayala.
Is that everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. All right. We do have some attendees tonight. So let me just figure out where we are next. We have public participation. So we're going to start with public participation here. If there's any members of the public that are here that would like to speak, please raise your hand. When I call on you, I'm going to unmute you and then ask that you just give your full name and address for the record. And then you'll have 3 minutes. So we do have one person raising their hand, and that is Diane Lauricella. Diane, you can lower your hand, unmute yourself. Please give your full name and address for the record, and welcome.
Yes, hello, Brian, and hello, ethics commissioners. For the record, my name is Diane Lauricella at 21 Little Fox Lane. I've been a member of Norwalk as a resident for over 40 years. Can't believe time flies by when you're having fun. And I am very happy that we have an ethics commission. Just prior to the pandemic, I, on occasion, had attended meetings, but especially during the pandemic, of course, on occasion. It's been a while since I've attended one of your commission meetings. You had a different chair, maybe 2 chairs ago, 2 iterations. And I just wanted to say that all those times I have been urging this commission to do more outreach to the public. So I was very happy to see the agenda item relating to creating a plan or a strategy for outreach to both the public, also elected officials, and of course, staff. I know that some of this has taken place there. I did see what is on the website, the Citizens Guide, but I decided to come tonight and I know I only have a minute more maybe, and that is because try as I might, especially since I used to be the president of League of Women Voters back when Dick Mosher was the mayor. Of course, at that time, we actually held issue-oriented. I'm not sure what that sound is. I'm sorry, I'm outside. I'm going to go inside. Someone's
Take your
break.
time, Diane, take your time.
It's someone's breaks. I'm going in the ladies' room of a restaurant. Here we go. Okay. I'm in the restaurant by myself. Anyway, I'm sorry. So anyway, I had urged the commission with different commissioners and different chair to please, because of my training as a League of Women Voters member, and I'm still a member, that the best type of ethics review is when the public understands what to look for, and that the staff, in fairness, knows what to look for and what not to allow. And lastly, of course, the politicians, the elected officials. And so I urge you tonight to please have a steadfast timeline, and please try to have at least one event for the public with enough notice before the election. Because I think ethics, especially now with what's going on in Washington, D.C., just my opinion, I think we need to let our public know in order to restore trust in government. We need to have a rigorous, make it fun, and active, regular outreach program to all 3 of those entities. And lastly, I just wanted to say that in your process for your work, your good work, you're volunteering for, and I thank you for that. Please also consider that when I know several people that have filed ethics complaints in the past over the span of time. But one thing that they mentioned to me was that they feel they should get a written decision of what the commission decided, and maybe even with the actual reasons for their decision. Because I know, of course, you have to kind of cloak the accusation, and the process, of course, is in private and held in confidence. But once that decision is made, at least it behooves you all to tell the person that accused someone what your decision is and why you decided it. So with that, I'll let you go. I'm sorry, I'm in a bathroom. It's probably echoing, so I'm sorry about that. But I thank you for your volunteerism. And again, I'm happy to help you spread the good word about ethics, but make it fun, make it an interactive group of public, some of it on webinar and some of it live. I think that would be really great for our city and will help restore trust in government. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. We have another public speaker, Diane Cece. Diane, you can lower your hand, unmute yourself, full name and address for the record, and welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I have to say we can't have too many Dianes in this city. There could be more. We don't know. We're always looking for them. And then I'll say, because she's probably still online, there's Miss Lauricella channeling me again as she's speaking. I was so happy. Thank you, Commissioners. Diane Cece, Olmsted Place. I was so happy when I was buzzing around some agendas this week to see the board was meeting, and really excited to see your business under old business, just what Diane Lauricella was talking about education and training program. And I think it really would benefit the public to understand better about ethics. There's a lot of times we'll just say, things maybe they don't feel like they pass the old smell test, but there's no real grounds for something that may be a violation, and lots of things are gray areas. And importantly, I think a lot of people would probably not really even know how to avail themselves of understanding what the process is. And also to Diane's point, I do think that it would be beneficial to modify the way the ethics process works, so that at least the person who raised the question or concern or complaint would have the benefit of knowing the decision and understanding the whereases and all of that good stuff. And I'm thinking even, there's probably legal ramifications to that, I'm sure, but I'm thinking even if it's something that's made available and then under some sort of a non-disclosure. But I think the last time I looked at any of these things, that stuff got left out there in limbo. So I applaud the fact that you're looking at this, and I wholeheartedly support it. And I think whenever we can engage the public in an informative and engaging and maybe even a fun way on this one, that it's a good thing. And thank you all.
Thank you, Diane.
I'll listen in. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And so I was just going to remind everybody who's here, whether they're listening later or now, and we have two Dianes here who have both spoken, so thank you. What I would just say is, I'm going to go through this before we get into the meat of this. I just want to briefly explain what the board has done in the last 8 years. And again, obviously there were some impacts with COVID. The first thing is that the entire code has been rewritten. That took it was a large undertaking by the board that I started working with, where the entire code, and if you've read the chapter 32, it's pretty long, had to be written, revised, and then submitted to ordinance committee. Sometimes it went back and forth, sometimes it went straight through, but the entire thing was revised over the period of, I'd say, approximately 2.5 to 3.5 years. That was the first thing. Once that was started, and once we realized the changes that were going to be instituted, we then revised the entire Citizens Guide. Both those documents can be found on the Board of Ethics website, on the city website, down towards the bottom, kind of sandwiched between the members of the board and the most recent agenda. There's a web link to both of them. So those two things are readily available. Speaking about the upcoming educational seminar, again, I'll repeat it for those who might not have heard this. it's the board's intention to create a seminar for both employees, appointed and elected officials, and also importantly, the residents. And the idea would be to put this together and to have multiple seminars, one during the day and one during the evening, at a minimum two, so that members of the staff who work at the city can get there during their normal business hours as part of their job to understand that there is a code and they're bound to it. And also for officials that can make it during that time. And most importantly, an evening one for those who work, who are either volunteering their time and they can get there, and also residents. We want everyone to be able to have a chance to do this. The idea would be to have it in the Common Council chambers so that it could be a hybrid meeting in person, and also for those who can't get there in person to watch over video or to watch the YouTube video later. We've also completed brief YouTube videos explaining PowerPoint presentations, kind of summary bullet points of each of the sections of Chapter 32. Again, there's 18 of them. I believe there's 17 because 18 is just kind of like an effective date one, so there's nothing really to talk about there. This is kind of a way to try to simplify and in simple language try to explain what each of these sections mean and what the implications are and how somebody could utilize them if necessary. So we don't know when we're going to be able to finish this seminar. We're kind of in the early steps right now. The board has been thinking about what it is that they want to do, how they want to put it together, things of that nature. But the goal would be to put something together, hopefully in writing, so that any one of us could attend and submit this and present it to the people that want to hear it. But that would be the goal. That's the next step for this board after revising the entire code, revising the Citizens Guide, creating bullet point summary presentations, and then placing them on video so that people will eventually be able to see those as well. We want to do this meeting, this educational seminar, hybrid, in person, and also hybrid, so people can see it over video. That's what we've done. That's what we're planning on doing. And we have 4 members of the board, so we do have a quorum. And so what we need to do first is, and we appreciate everyone who came to speak. But the first thing we have to do is before we get to the meat of this, which is an old business, we have to accept the minutes from July 24 of 2025. I'm going to put those up on the screen. And the members that were there at the last meeting in July, which would be Kitty Sang and Pat Tony. If you have any changes or any revisions that you would like to make to this 3-page document, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to have one of you move to approve these minutes as they currently are drafted. If I'm going too fast, let me know and I can move it back up. Okay. Pat Tony or Kitty Sang, do you have any revisions or changes that you need made to these minutes?
Nope.
I do
Okay,
not.
Can somebody move to approve these minutes so we can apply those down now as the final version of the July 24, 2025 minutes? So that at our next meeting, we'll be dealing with the minutes from this meeting. Great.
I make a motion.
All right. And all in favor of the 2 of you that were here last time?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. So approved. All right. All right, so now we are on old business, and old business, the sole remaining item to be discussed at this meeting, discuss the creation of a Board of Ethics education training program for the city, its officers and employees, as well as residents. Again, as we discussed, this is something that we've been discussing for a while. We've been thinking about for a while. We first wanted to create PowerPoint, Excel spreadsheets, which PowerPoint presentation documents, which we did. We then submitted those and made them into videos. And now we're under the step of trying to come up with a formal document, or at least some kind of outline that we can use when we can put together this presentation. So I'm going to, after describing that to the people who are either watching live or will be watching later on, I am now going to yield the floor to our 4 members of the board so that they can start to discuss this educational symposium.
I think some of the discussions that we've had, you know, even informally, this is a big project, and we'd already done quite a bit of work. One of the possibilities is to make a combination of the videos and then real life discussion. I mean, in-person discussion, bringing out key points, important issues, process, et cetera. That's one possibility, or to just do a strictly a in-person program that we would obviously videotape, so it could be
Right.
viewed by anybody at
Mhm.
other times. So but I think the more I've looked at it personally, I mean, you gave us the nice PowerPoint of a program that you had attended elsewhere, you know, before we were even involved, and there's a lot of information there, a lot of legal information, so not impossible, but I think it should, you know, we need to be sure that it's well thought out, and but also be respectful of that this is a big commitment.
Right. I'm gonna let, and so obviously, I'm gonna let anybody else of the 3 board members speak on any thoughts or ideas or processes that they want to talk about this education and training symposium, and then I can add some thoughts as well.
So to follow on what Pat was saying, are we thinking of one seminar, one unit of time, or are we thinking of more than one? Because with regard to the volume of content, and just thinking of what a resident or a staff member employee might
Sure.
be able to take in at one time.
Sure. So I guess, you know, I guess the response would be, the most important thing, in my opinion, is to let employees, officials, and residents know that this actually exists if they don't already know. And certainly employees and officials should know that it exists. But I think the first thing is knowledge that this is even here. And my thought would be that this is probably not the only symposium or seminar that we have to do. Perhaps the first one is more of a similar to what we did with the PowerPoint and the videos, broad strokes, let everyone have a general idea of what we're talking about, and then maybe based on feedback from those those seminars, perhaps we can target more. All right, people aren't interested in, for example, 3213. They're more interested in 32.4, which is conflicts of interest, or 32.8, which I believe is prohibited gifts, either 32.7 or 32.8. 32.12, the process by which an ethics complaint is filed and reviewed, and an investigating panel and a hearing board. We can take a look and see, perhaps the first one, try to answer your question, maybe the first one should be broad strokes on each of the sections to the extent that we believe that they're necessary, more on some, less on others, but to give people a general idea about what they say. Perhaps with some hypotheticals or examples that I've provided to you in Connecticut Conference of Municipality some seminars that I've been to. Sorry, and and Pat Tony is right. This is a big project, especially for volunteers like we have, and we have a small group. We only have 7 people. So in the interim, another suggestion could be to reach out to the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities and try to get somebody in here to speak about the code of ethics, or just ethics in general as it pertains to municipalities. I can tell you that prior to COVID, I don't know if it was 2018 or 2019, we actually had the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities show up to the city of Norwalk and provide a seminar on ethics, and which I attended. And it was in our community room. And so, but that's the last time that happened. I don't know if the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities is now doing this in person anymore, which that was, or whether they do it in hybrid or they're just purely remote. But that shouldn't stop us from perhaps reaching out to them, perhaps asking them to do, perhaps joining a Board of Ethics meeting and providing their own little seminar, symposium, you know, whether it be a half an hour, 45 minutes, anything just to get somebody else's viewpoint on this as well, because our board is a group of 7 volunteers, and typically Connecticut Conference of Municipality reaches out to somebody that does this professionally for a living. That's at least been my experience when I've dealt with them before in this regard. So that's obviously another potential thing that we could do to try and speed this up. While the Board of Ethics is working on this, we could try to reach out to CCM to see, if they can come and when they'd be able to come, just so we could get something sooner than when I anticipate this is going to get done by this board, because again, everyone's very busy and there's other issues that the board deals with, not just this. This is very important and this is our focal point. But there are other items that the board has to deal with, such as advisory opinions and things of that nature.
I agree to bringing somebody in to do the presentation and the organization of the training itself. And what videos are you talking about?
Sure. So we did, and Katie, this might have been before you. There are PowerPoint presentations that were made by each of the board members about each of the sections. I believe section 1 through section 17, 32.1 through 32.17. Again, 32.18 doesn't have one because it's just an effective date. And based off those PowerPoint slides, we then created these very brief YouTube videos. They're anywhere from 30 seconds to like maybe 2.5 minutes, trying to explain to the best of the board's ability those sections in simple terms to try and hit the highlights. That's what we're talking about. The goal is to try and get those videos up on our Board of Ethics website, the way that we have the Citizens Guide and the Chapter 32, which is the Code of Ethics, the City Code. I'd like to get those videos up there, and hopefully those PowerPoint presentations, even if it's just a link or whatever it might be, so people can access those as well. That's another thing that we can do in the interim while we're working on this symposium.
Are those videos just an explanation of the words and phrases and stuff, or is it like a fun scenario depiction of this is a scenario, how people will react, like a real life situation depicted with role playing?
Yeah, so this is this is not the latter. This is simply trying to explain these city code sections of Chapter 32 in layman's terms, or as simply as we can to get the point across. The thought behind the symposium that I had when I first recommended this was to translate the code and those simple terms into hypotheticals, into examples, real life situations that somebody might get involved in. Because typically, I mean, that's how I learn. I learn by doing hands-on.
Exactly.
I learn by getting examples, not just reading something. So that was the reason behind doing the PowerPoint slides, doing the videos, to then supplement this seminar. Because if you say to somebody, hey, we have a seminar and it's an hour and a half long, they're going to roll their eyes. They might only watch 10 minutes of it. But if you say we have 17 videos and they total no more than 32 minutes, and you can watch them at your leisure, and you can watch one a day, and in 2 weeks you'll be done with all of them because they're so short, there's a higher likelihood that those people will watch that. And if
I agree,
that's the minimum, I think that's the basis,
Yeah.
the baseline level should be that you would think that people would want to look at those PowerPoint slides, look at those videos at a minimum, and then to gain more access, to gain more knowledge, to understand it better, watch the symposium, attend the symposium, get the hypothetical examples, real life situations, things of that nature.
I think that's always been our goal, is to
Yes.
Because I think we're learning as we go too. This, you know, there are situations that have come up that you have to know what you don't know. You have to know what your resources are. But using examples is always a good idea
Mhm.
for learning. So I think that's exactly what the goal was in order to make a little bit more formal,
Hmm.
whether it be orientation or, you know, mandatory kind of program so that everybody knows that it exists. Believe me, you're not going to remember everything that's in it, but I know where it is if I need to go look it up, and I know who to ask if I need further guidance. So,
Yeah, my thought is that the two last items about getting those PowerPoint slides and getting those videos up, that's something that, you know, should be able to be done in short order. I will certainly ask about that. I understand that everyone here is, you know, giving of their time as volunteers. So to the extent that I can at least start the process, I will try to uh, get a draft going, hopefully sooner rather than later, depending on workflow, of this symposium, which I can then send out to board members for their comments, reviews, changes, revisions. Hey, this is great. We don't like this. Change this. Whatever. If I can try to shoulder some of the load for you guys, and again, not taking it away from you, trying to assist, you guys will determine what goes in there. My job is purely to advise and to help you guys hopefully put together something that the city will find helpful and useful.
mhm.
So would the CCM program be sort of like that first round that you're talking about? It's like the general program hitting the highlights to find out, to get a um more clear sense of where
Sure.
the attendees are looking for clarification and
Yeah,
greater color.
another thing could be also, another way to theoretically speed this up would be to just, on it while we're doing this, and this is for the board to decide. We could, in theory, place on the agenda Code of Ethics, chapters 32.1 through 32.18. And then if people show up to the meeting, they could ask questions. They might be able to be answered at the meeting. It's very tough to answer things live and on the fly, especially when you're talking about situations that are very fact and case specific. Again, ethical decisions are typically not black and white. There's usually gray, and they're usually fact dependent. But that's also another way for officials, employees, or residents to attend a meeting and say, first of all, employees and officials can ask for advisory opinions if they feel that they need something answered. And residents, we can certainly do that if that's something the board is interested in, saying, place the entire code on the agenda along with this symposium. And we can have people come over and ask questions if that's what they want. If they have a question about conflicts of interest or prohibited gifts or whatever it might be, they can ask that question. And we can try and do our best to answer that question at that meeting or come back at the next meeting and try to provide that answer. That is a way to not have a formal symposium, but to make the board, the code, the citizens guide, and to make them more accessible to the public constantly, at each of the meetings that we have. Obviously, it wouldn't be a big to do. Like if we do a symposium, there's going to be a lot of, hey, this is, a one and only time thing, in-person hybrid. Whereas if we do this on a regular basis and we just put the code out there, if no one shows up to the meeting and no one asks questions, then the board moves on. If there are questions, then the board can try to answer those questions. I can try to assist in answering those questions. We can always get back to people if necessary, but that would be a way to try and inform people while we're trying to put together this formal presentation. I don't know if that's something that people are interested in, but that's another potential scenario.
I mean, even if we did do a symposium, anyone who wanted to attend a board meeting, a Board of Ethics meeting, could come back and ask us after the meeting a specific question about a code.
Sure, sure. I
Right.
just, my thought is that if, and the answer to that is yes. It might not be on the agenda of the meeting, and that's why I suggested putting the code of ethics on the agenda, because then you can say, okay, yes, you can, during public comment, you can ask questions or make comments about something that's on the agenda. And if you put the entire code and the citizens guide on there, then people can ask questions about it because it's there. I don't think that anyone would say, no, you can't ask that, but it's easier. It's just easier. It's cleaner if it's on there. It takes no effort. It takes no work. We could simply put a web link, that people can click on the items, if that's something that everyone's interested in doing. And this way, if people are interested and we start making that a practice at our meetings, then people might come and ask questions. And if they don't, then at least we're open to it. We're offering it. We're making it available. And if people want to make use of it and to ask those questions, that's great. And if they don't, then they'll just have to wait for the symposium, because we can't read people's minds and talk about issues without people raising them, because then we're just shooting in the dark and we have no idea where we're going. So in the interim, while we're working on this PowerPoint presentation, while we're working on this formal presentation, this symposium, whatever you want to call it, we can put the code and the citizens guide on each agenda, and people can come to the agenda and ask questions if they want. 1, 2, we're going to try and get those videos on the website as soon as possible. Try to get those PowerPoint slides on the website as soon as possible while working on this symposium. And I can try to reach out to the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities to see whether they can come and give some kind of symposium. I don't know how busy they are. I don't know how backlogged they are. I don't know if they're going to say, hey, listen, join the line. There's a bunch of people, or hey, we're available. Let us know. I'm certainly happy to do those things to speed up. I think these are ways that we can speed things up and hopefully show everyone that we're trying to do something, but the symposium in reality is going to take some time.
I see. So it's not taking the place of the symposium. It's just allowing people access sooner to get their questions answered.
One of the things one of the things that I try to do, with any of the boards that I'm staff on, is to try and make things accessible. If people send me an email, I read those emails into the record for public comment. If they call me, I'm happy to talk with them about the issue. We place the citizens guide and the code of ethics on the board's website because some people have a difficult time finding them. It's right there. If you put in Board of Ethics, Norwalk, Connecticut, that website will come up, and if you scroll down the page, they're right there. The idea would be to put those PowerPoint slides and those videos on there as well, and hopefully the symposium link, once we finally get this thing done and we have a video of it, we'll throw that up there as well. We want to make all this stuff accessible to people. That's why we updated the code to make it more user-friendly and up to date. That's why we updated the Citizens Guide. The Citizens Guide has phenomenal flowcharts. It explains all the processes that are very complicated and difficult and dense to read. We made a flowchart. There's 2 of them in there. They're very helpful. And I think it makes it easier for anybody to understand these processes that can otherwise almost feel like you're reading a different language. Mm-hmm. They're not easy. It's not easy for an attorney who does this for a living that isn't involved in ethics. It'd be tough to do, let alone somebody who doesn't try to read and analyze things professionally for a living. It's even more difficult for them. And by the way, they probably have another job where, they're worried about that or volunteers. So we're just we're trying to make this as easy, transparent as possible. And these are ways to try and supplement, not to take away from or replace, to supplement people's knowledge of these areas until we get the symposium the way that we want it, and to get it scheduled, and to give people, as Diane Lauricella mentioned and Diane Ceci mentioned, give people proper and adequate notice, hopefully by being able to put this on social media pages, by promoting it once we know that we're going to do this, by starting to promote it at our meetings, saying, hey, by the way, it's coming soon, or hey, by the way, this is the date. Hopefully by being able to put something on the city website saying we're having this seminar, when we do the symposium seminar, whatever you want to call it. These are ways that we can try to get as many people there as possible. But in the interim, we can do these other things to try and bolster people's knowledge of the code and what it is and what it means while we're doing this bigger project.
I think that's a good plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other comments or suggestions specifically about any of these things, but specifically about the seminar or the symposium? Otherwise, I I can try to start working on an initial draft. And then it's just a matter of, do you want me to provide you with a complete draft when I'm done, or do you want it in pieces? I can try to, I think it makes more sense probably to do it in pieces, because you guys are going to probably like certain things that I do and not like others. And so I don't want to do the whole thing and have to redo it all. So maybe if I do one or two and then send them out to you, then at least you can say, hey, this is great. We don't like this. We recommend this. Then at least I can make those changes and then implement those changes as I go forward. I could try to do that as well. And at least then you'll start to see some progress. And everyone can chip in, by the way. And what we can also do is, once you guys think that some of these processes are getting close to being better or final in a final version, we can put them on the agenda. Let everyone see them. I mean, they're going to be discussed at a seminar or symposium anyway. So let's get them on there, because if it takes us 6 months to do this thing, who knows how long it's going to take. If it takes us 6 months to do this thing, but in the interim, we've put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things on, or however many of them on over the course of that time period, then it means that people aren't seeing this thing for the first time if they've been following us. And that also
Yeah.
breeds familiarity with members of the board as well, so that when you're trying to provide this information to the public, it will be more natural to you, because obviously you all have other jobs and you're volunteering your time.
Mhm.
So we
I
can
agree.
do that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think in pieces is a good idea. And I
Okay.
think just to go back to what we were discussing, I believe it was the first Diane who was concerned about having some visibility into these issues that we're talking about with the symposium prior to the November election. So I think the idea of having these things on our agenda, obviously there's only one more meeting before the November election, so having them be able to address them at the next meeting gives them that ability that they would otherwise not have for the time that it would take us to put together the symposium.
What we
So-
can also do is, because again, workflow will dictate whether I can get any of these drafts done. But in the interim, I will put a link on a piece of paper. It'll have a link, Code of Ethics, and here's the link. Citizens Guide to the Code of Ethics, here's the link. So that those pages are on there. People will have that link. Those will be on the agenda in the October meeting, as well as this symposium and seminar thing that or the educational program that we're going to be discussing. But those things will be on there. So if anyone wants to come to our meeting in October, those things will be on the agenda. You can ask questions. And we'll and in the interim, try to get as much as we can done between now and, the election. Unfortunately, the summer is difficult. And if anyone has seen the board over the last 3 years, you will see from the cancellation notices that we had issues in terms of getting a full board. We finally have a full board, and that's why we haven't been missing meetings. And the reason why August was canceled, just so everyone knows, was so that the board would have more time to think about this symposium and educational seminar, because we didn't want to just go there and not have any ideas. We wanted to be able to provide that information so that people could read it, digest it, analyze it, and try to come with some ideas about how they wanted to proceed forward. We now have some ideas about how to go forward in terms of providing chips of draft of each section, and we can put those on when the board thinks they're ready. But in the interim, we can do other things. We could put, again, the code on, the citizens guide on, get those PowerPoint slides and the videos up to the best of to as quickly as we can do that. We can do these things so that the public can ask questions in advance of the seminar. They can become more comfortable with it. We can put sections on when they're ready, and then when everything's ready to go, we'll have this formal symposium seminar. We'll try to do it as much as we can. At least one in the morning, one in the daytime, and one in the evening, like I said, so that everyone has a fair opportunity to get there. And it'll also be recorded, hopefully, so that it should be recorded, so that people will have an opportunity to watch it if they can't make it that day or one of the day or night that it's being done. So that's the idea about trying to make this process transparent, show our work. When it's ready, show our work, get those things up on the website so people can access it while we're working on this bigger project. That to me is a way to satisfy people that want some immediacy while doing this the right way, getting it done the right way, because there's been a lot of work already. Let's get that on there so people can see it in the immediate term, and then in the long term, get the thing done the way we want it, so that we put a good project and symposium forward.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Anyone else have any other comments or questions for this September meeting?
Just to comment, I really think that we're moving in the right direction, and your suggestion on doing it partially and piece by piece, and I think that's great. Totally agree. Thank you.
And just to piggyback on what Catherine said, there's obviously going to be some time between when the board finishes the formal symposium document or whatever you want to call it, and the time that we have the actual symposium. So whatever that time period is between, we'll throw the symposium up there on the agenda. So if we have 1 meeting or 2 meetings or 4 meetings, we'll throw it up there. There'll be a formal meeting where we discuss it and try to educate people to the best of our abilities. But in the interim and before that, we'll put it on. As soon as you guys think it's a ready document, we'll put the entire thing on until it's time to have the symposium so people have a chance to see it. I mean, there's nothing to be hidden. It's going to be presented at the meeting. So when it's ready, when you guys think it's ready, we'll try to get it loaded on the website and we'll put it on our agenda each meeting so that people can come on, and if they want to talk about something, they can.
Sounds good.
Does anyone else have any other comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay. So there is no new business. We're not going to be going into an executive session. So if there's nothing else concerning what we've discussed tonight, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? And then do I have a second? And then we'll have a vote.
I, Catherine, make a motion to end this session.
Thank you, Catherine. Do I have a second?
A second.
Amy Ayala seconds. All right, now, so now we have that. Can we have a vote? So we need at least 3 members of the board to vote to move us to adjourn this meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so it's unanimous. Kitty, Amy, Pat, and Catherine all voted to motion to adjourn. I thank each of the board members for taking their time this evening. I thank each of the members of the public who came and expressed comments, concerns, recommendations. You were heard, and we are going to try and at least get small steps forward so that people can see some progress on the smaller items in advance of the larger symposium. So with that, we will close the meeting, and I will reach out to each of you about next steps before hopefully our meeting on, just so everyone's aware who's at this meeting. The next meeting would be, if we don't have any issues, on Thursday, October 23rd at 7 o'clock, if we can get a quorum. All right, so we've moved to adjourn. I appreciate everyone's time. Everyone have a good night.
Night.
Thank you.
You too.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.